I mean, I know how to transition. Do you remember this relationship? Let me show you a picture really quick.
Oh Lord, here we go.
So now, you look amazing in this photo. If I could just cut you out of it, it would give me everything that I need. All right. So you were with David. And I've been very vocal to you that and these are my opinions, I was not a fan of David. I had saw the advanced tape of the show that you guys did on WeTV, and thought in the first 2, 3 episodes, it summed everything up that I needed to know about him: controlling, jealous. He wanted to be you. He wanted the recognition. And one thing in particular that I could have snatched him through the TV was when your ex-husband brought your son home to your house and wanted to tuck him in, and the man said to you, "Don't be bringing no in my house." Now, Tamar, how did you even let yourself get wrapped up in that with him?
You know what? I can't stand you. But this is what I will say, and this is what I've always said. I'm a real honest person. And I would be less than a real woman to sit here and say all of those things about him were true. It's not true, and it's not fair. And I've said that, and that's what I mean about the depiction of reality television in Black people. So why is it when a man cares for his woman, concerned about his woman, asks about people that are in her life, protects his woman, why is he called controlling? Why can't he be looking out for his woman? I don't really understand that. We all say we want a strong Black man. We want somebody to protect us and somebody to love us. And when they do that, we openly call them controlling. So what is it that we want here? You know what I mean? I didn't have a bedtime. He wasn't mean or nasty or rude to me. He was amazing to my child. We had a pretty decent relationship. And the minute it came on TV is when things started going, downhill. And I can completely understand his point of view when it comes to television, because I'm not even going to lie, my life changed negatively. My relationship started to deplete and deflate.
The one thing that I think people have to own is what they show up and put out, right? Like, I threw a drink on Love and Hip Hop. I still get that from time to time. I own it. I've apologized. I've stood in my truth. And the things that we saw on the show, we saw, right? So are you saying then what we saw was...
What we saw on the show was definitely not accurate. And I'm just going to be 1,000. I remember when I saw the show for the first time, it was ridiculous. And I was furious. I'm like, what is this? This is not what we discussed. It's almost like, you ever seen that movie Bowfinger?
No.
Okay, so the movie Bowfinger had Eddie Murphy in it and Steve Martin in it. And it was Steve Martin directing this film. And they got all of these stars in the movie, right? But the stars didn't know that they were shooting a movie. So, so I just feel like it's a Bowfinger situation. I'm shooting one show and I have no idea it's a whole nother show that's being shot. Do you understand what I'm saying? So things would be asked and people would pop up over to my home and ask me questions out the blue that had nothing to do with what I did that day.
But I love the show. I told you when I watched the show.
I hated it. And, I find it to be very disrespectful, disregarding. And, when you're in a situation, I'm getting upset about it because it's like this. That show was supposed to be another opportunity to show a Black woman when she's, I'm not going to say down, but not having gotten life all the way figured out, how she picked herself back up again, how she re-navigated her life being a single mom, how she figured out the dating world after being divorced, and what she was going to do with her career, and then her successes, buying her first home by herself, her celebrating her wins with her friends, having amazing people around you, and just, creating the life that you actually wanted to have for yourself, that you actually built. And that is what
but you don't think you got any of that in that show?
No, I do not. No, I don't. That show was definitely supposed to be about me putting together my one woman show and putting it on the road, and it was all a lot.
So the scene where you guys were sitting at the table, I don't know if you were in a restaurant or whatever, and he was explaining to you about him his events coming to your house. Do you feel like that was just a moment taken out of context, or do you feel like that
Completely,
was real? You do?
complete, absolutely. You know, the reason why Vince wasn't a part of the show is because people wasn't going to be able to help themselves in creating an issue between my ex and my ex-husband. Do you understand what I'm
Hmm.
saying? We didn't have
Yeah.
those kind of problems. You know what I mean? We they didn't argue and fight and have issues with one another. I mean, just like any other man, they don't want another man walking through their house. It doesn't matter how many children they got together. That's just who he is as an individual. Now let's flip the script, okay? Now, had it been David and David's baby mama came over to the house, walked on through the house, went to their son's room and took my son in, gave him a bath, I would have an issue with that. Like, why should you make
But
mother all the ass like that?
but in all fairness, Tamar, when you went through that really challenging situation, which I thought you breathed power into a conversation, I think that's important for everybody around suicide, and I want to touch on that a little bit. Literally right after that situation, I feel like David didn't even show you the same amount of respect that you're showing him today when he was seen with some woman that he allegedly was hooking up with, like right after you were out the hospital. I mean, and this was a woman who I guess was either your friend or his friend or somewhere close to the situation. To me, it was messy, it was disrespectful, and it was
It hurt.
literally less respect than you're giving him today. So I'm just trying to like hear you give him life and be nice, but also thinking about when I saw those pictures of them on the boat, when you had literally just either got out the hospital or were still in it. So is that the same person you're describing today?
Is, but that's not my job. It's not my job to um, be rude and hateful and nasty because it didn't work out and drag him and hang him out to dry. I think what's happening, you know, in the opinions of everyone, you know, is what's happening because that's what someone put out there. You know what I mean? But my personal experience with him wasn't horrible. No matter what happened or what came out of what was really going on while we were in a relationship, that was not my personal um, relationship with him. So I can only speak about what happened in our relationship, and things were great. And that's all I'm going to speak about.
Then I have to ask you about this right here because the way you look out for me in making sure that I don't drive or jump all the way off of ledges, I just want to make sure that I'm doing my job and asking you the questions that I never ask you privately because I do respect your privacy as a friend and I do consider you a friend. So there was this picture right here that I want to ask you about. This photo was a bruise that I believe he put on your arm. Now I know I'm probably violating the friend code by talking about something publicly that I haven't asked permission for, but I want to make sure that because there are so many women that do look at you as a champion for many things. You overcome obstacles, you stand in your truth, you say it like you mean it, you show up with grace, you're a great mother, you're a great sister, and you're a strong black woman. I want to make sure that when we stand with the hashtag protect black women, that protecting black men, although a priority, isn't in a way of sliding who you are to other women. So that bruise, he grabbed you on your arm, correct?
Okay, so it's a lot of variables as to why I can't give you a direct answer. Okay. Um, Number one is the legal aspect. And listen, I'm just going to be 1,000 with you. And I've never lied to you about anything, big or small, right? That day in the car was a horrible day. And it was a lot of emotions. It was a lot happening, you know. And I'm not making excuses for him, but I'm talking about the experience that we both had with suicide, right? And how hard that was for both of us, and how difficult in that moment, it was for the both of us to figure out what had just transpired in our relationship, in our friendship, in our family. And it was very, very hard. It was probably the worst argument I've ever been in my life. And I'm pretty sure that I can speak for him in that aspect. But I'm going to tell you that David and I was not in an emotionally nor physically abusive relationship. But I am going to say that that was the worst argument we've ever had in our lives.
And so the legal aspect is why you can't really get into the details of it. But do you think that, did you see that that type of situation would escalate to the point to where you would end up with a bruise on your arm?
I'm just going to be honest. The biggest bruise that I got from that car ride, I still have. And I still have it because it's not exterior, I'm just going to be comfortable and say the only bruise, is the one that lives within. It was a hard time. And I really wish that I had the tools to have a different conversation with him, because at the end of the day, we were really good friends. And, what we experienced was something that was magical. And that's not the case anymore. And I'm not saying that's what I want it to be. Things happen for a reason. A lot of things has been said. A lot of things have been done. But at the end of the day, I wish him the best in any endeavors that he has.